Well, we did it. We have finished our first term of the school year, and I want to share with you just a little update on how things have been going. I want to share with you maybe a quick curriculum update for each of the main subjects and each of my kiddos and the grades that they are, and then share a few things that I have that I want to change for the next term, and a little update on my channel as well. Hey there, if we haven't met yet, hey, my name is Ashley. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kids. I currently have a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader, as he so graciously reminded me. And I've been homeschooling for the past 10 years. I am a former English teacher, although I did it briefly, but I was in the public school system long enough to know that homeschooling was for me and for my family. I also love to share Charlotte Mason inspired homeschool, as well as encourage the scattered and easily distracted homeschool mom. So thanks so much for being here today. What is going on? What should we do first? So we're gonna go subject by subject and give you a few curriculum updates. I would love for you to watch to the end, because I have a few things I want to share from my heart that is going to be changing here on this channel and what's going on with our homeschool in general. So be sure to stick around for that. Let's start with math. Okay, simple and easy. Math for my 3rd grader is going swimmingly. This was an easy subject to pick for him. He does well with this. He does well with Math with Confidence curriculum. This is his 4th year using it. He's used it since kindergarten. And we're so thankful that he is always in the grade where Math with Confidence level is coming out. So he's my only kid who's really able to use it, and it's going great. So we love Math with Confidence, and he loves it. I love it, and it doesn't take us too long. And he picked up multiplication super easily. I was very grateful for that, because you know how multiplication can go sometimes for those 3rd graders. I did add times tales. I don't know if you've heard of that, but I ordered the video and it had a little booklet that came with it, as well as some activity pages, and he loved it. He loved watching the stories, and it's helped a lot. So when he practices his multiplication facts, it'll be like 8 times 3, and then I'll be like, Mrs. Snowman and the butterfly, and he's like, oh, Mrs. Snowman and the butterfly does something. I don't know. He knows the stories better than I do, but it'll help him recall through those mnemonics and through the stories what the product is for the answer. So anyway, that's been a little thing that I supplemented with, and he's been loving that, and I'm really pleased with that as well. If you want to see a few of my reviews and my do a lesson with me with any of the Math with Confidence books I've been using, you can check that out on my channel. For my 5th grader, we've kind of combined a few things. He was using Math with Confidence, but he switched to using Life of Fred, and he finished Kidneys, and now he's on the Liver book, which I don't have here, but this is a Life of Fred book. My 5th grader also does teaching textbooks along with the Life of Fred. And what we found is we don't love teaching textbooks, and I almost switched from it again. I like the online lessons. I like that I don't have to teach it. I like that he doesn't have to write it on paper. He can do the answers on the laptop or on the iPad. But I don't love the way the review problems work and how the lessons go. I feel like it's a little bit overkill with the addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. They're like really large problems that I'm like, how in the world will we ever use this in real life? We can always use a calculator for 6-digit addition problems. Nobody's gonna do that in real life. So anyway, my attitude with it is not that great, but what we've done is we've modified it, and he does the lesson part, and then the review questions, when those come, the practice problems, I only have him do like half of it, maybe, I think. So that's what's working for us for now. I am looking into CTC math, and I'm this close to jumping from teaching textbooks and going to that. I'm really close. I haven't done that yet, but we will just stick with Life of Fred. I know he's getting some practice there, and but that's how teaching textbooks has been going for him. Also, okay, for my 7th grader, math is interesting in our house. She finally finished Saxon Math 7-6, and she used Nicole the Math Lady. So she uses Saxon Math 7-6 with Nicole the Math Lady, and it's been okay. She doesn't mind it, she doesn't hate it, she doesn't love it. But again, who loves math in our house? Not many people do. But She finished it, and she had started this last year about this time of year. So it did take her about a year to go through, and I had her finish it. I liked that it was online. So now that she's done with that, I would like to have her move to Denison Algebra. And she's gonna start with the pre-algebra level for that. And I'm really excited about that. The only thing is I don't have the funding for that until January. So in the meantime, she's going to continue with Life of Fred. She's almost done with the fractions book, but I got her the zillions of practice problems for fractions, and she's doing that now. And then once she's done with the fractions book, she'll do the decimals and percents. So she's gonna work on this until January, when she'll hop into the pre-algebra course. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's going pretty well, and we're thankful she's finally finished with Saxon. So we made it through. We survived. I did add something fun for my third grader. We got this from a friend who didn't use it all the way, but a fun schooling math practice Minecraft book. And I've actually been looking into the fun schooling journals, and I really think I might be jumping into using them. So haven't purchased that yet, but I'll talk more about that later at the end of the video. But this is the one we have for now, and this has been a lot of fun and just something for him to pull out when he wants some extra math practice, and he's really enjoying this one. And the other thing I added for my third grader, it's kind of math related, but I got him, let's do it on this side. I got him a logic countdown just book. He loves logic. So he loves logic puzzles. He loves just riddles and all those things. So I thought I'd get him a logic workbook, and he's been enjoying this. So he just kind of pulls it out, does it once or twice a week, and that's been a lot of fun for him. Okay, let's move into language arts and how that's going. And let's see, how should we do this? So one update is both my boys finished All About Reading. They finished level 4, so they are done with the All About Reading course. And they're both done with, is this volume 2? It is. So I had them do the readers for volume 4, and they both finished it in the last term. So now they're just moving on to their own individual readers. And I give them a few choices, and they pick from it. So if you want to know how I do this, do you want to know how I do this? Okay, fine. So I go around my house and I find books that are about their level, and they're books that kind of look like this. You can see. So they're chapter books-ish, but they're a little bit smaller, and the print is a little bit bigger, or this one's a little smaller. This one's a little bit harder, but it's a nice small book. So I'm looking for things that are worth reading. You know, they're not like twaddle, like you would say in Charlotte Mason. They're worth reading, but they're not too difficult yet, because both my boys are kind of in that like transition stage where the print can't be too big just yet, but they can read a little bit longer books. So we've been working our way through some of these. So I go through my house and find what I have. I also use the Ambleside online book list. I think I'm using year 3 and 4. 3 and year 4, I'm looking at the readers section. So if you scroll all the way down, it'll say extra readers for free reading. And that's where I start there. I look at that list, and that's where I got a lot of these ideas for these. This is what I give my third grader, and I say, hey, which one do you want to read next? So he started with, and Frindle was second. I can't remember what he started with. He read third grade detectives first, and then he went to Frindle, and now he chose Runaway Ralph. And we started reading this together. I'm doing buddy reading with him, where I read a page, then he reads a page, and then I read a page and he reads a page. So I'm trying to work on building his reading stamina to be able to read for longer periods of time by himself. And I'm working on the same thing with my 5th grader as well. I give him a similar book list, but I have given him some higher level reading options, and I give him the option to listen to the audiobook as well. So for example, he is just finished the 2nd book of the Prince Warrior series, and I decided he's done both, where part of the time he'll read it, part of the time he'll listen. Some of the time he will follow along with the book while he listens. So he's shown some signs of possible dyslexia. His reading, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. He can read, I'll just say that. He can read, but his reading stamina is really low. So reading one page is just difficult, and we're trying to build his stamina as well. So I'm using audiobooks, and I'm relying heavily on that. So that's what we're doing for my 5th grader for reading as well. Another book list that I use is Sunlight. So I look to the Sunlight readers and I look at their book lists for grade levels. So I look at 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade is kind of where I pick from for both of my boys for their readers list to choose from. So the Ambleside Online and the Sunlight book list readers. The other thing they use along with their reading is the reading journal from Not Consumed. And we've been using this and it's going okay. There's a couple entries. I'll admit they don't love it, and they're not really big on writing, but the fact that they're doing it at all, I'm very happy with. So they're working on it. Sometimes I do it with them, but my goal is to have them do it on their own. But when they do it on their own, they really don't put a lot of effort into it. So I need to work on checking in with that a little bit better, but they are using this. They don't use it every time they read. My goal is by the end of the year to use this every time they read. But for the time being, I do it once or twice a week is when they write in their reading journal. And this just goes along with whatever book they are reading at the time. So, you know, is it this book or whatever, just whatever they read that day, they put it in here. So it kind of goes along with narration, but it adds just a little bit more, like looking at the setting and the characters and comparing the characters. So it adds a little bit of reading practice in there as well. But it's similar to a narration journal. As far as spelling and writing goes, I have combined my boys with this as well. I'm going to talk more about this in another video for my 5th grader, and I share more into detail about what we've done for him for writing and for his language arts, because it's been a struggle over the last several years. So I'm trying really hard to challenge, but not challenge too much. So I have a whole video on that if you want to check that out. But for both of my boys, my 3rd and my 5th grader, we're using All About Spelling Level 2. We are almost done. We're on the final step in this book, and I'm so happy. Like, it's a curriculum I'm gonna finish. I'm notorious for not finishing things, but we're gonna finish this one, guys. Yay! Put an emoji in the comments if you're excited for me to finish something. And let me know if you've used All About Spelling as well and what you think. But I like it. It's gone really well for both of them. It's a little bit easy for my 5th grader and a little bit hard for my 3rd grader, but it's nice. I get to do it with them together and I don't have to do spelling, 3 times a day for everybody. When we are done with All About Spelling after this next lesson this week, yay, we're gonna start with IEW Phonetic Zoo. And my 7th grader has been using IEW Phonetic Zoo for the last few weeks already. The great thing about this is you can use the same cards, but you just use the different spelling level. So it's the same rules that you're going over every time, like the 45 rules or lessons, but you use a different spelling list each time. So for example, my 7th grader is using level C. I thought about having her in B and then moving to C, but she's like, no, Mom, those are kind of easy. Can I do C? I said, sure. So she does the audio all on her own. So she opens it up on the computer, listens to the lesson. So it shares the rule, the jingle, or the hint, and then it says the words. So she practices the words on her notebook and then does the lesson on her own. So for the boys, they're gonna move into this as soon as we're done with All About Spelling, and they're gonna do level A. Not necessarily together. This is gonna be something they can do on their own now. I want them to be able to do the lesson on their own when they listen to it, and then they're gonna copy the words on their own, and then they'll quiz each other on it later on throughout the week. So again, I'm trying to find ways to get all my kids more independent, and I'm really excited for moving into a spelling that's going to help them with that. And I really think this is going to be good for all my kids. Like, this is something I've been looking for the last several years. So, and we're going to be using that. Okay, when it comes to the writing, I do again talk about this in the video for my 5th grader about writing, but I've been loving this curriculum. It is Imitation Writing by Matt Whitling, and this is the Fairy Tales book. And this is recommended, I think it's book 2, it says. It says it's recommended for 3rd grade and up. And it's actually working really well for my 3rd and my 5th grader. And it's very similar to IEW structure and style, but it's kind of the same. You read a story, you write the outline and your keywords, and then you rewrite the story from your outline. It's basically the same thing, but it's all there for you. It's really nice. So the one thing I like about this, so I'll pause this for a second. So for Charlotte Mason style, you're supposed to do narration with your stories. And I have realized that I struggle with being consistent with that. And I know the best thing to do is just read a book and then have the kid write a narration from what they just read, or do it orally. And as far as doing oral narrations, we do that all the time. That's just like a natural thing that we have in our family now. So we read something, we talk about it, what do you think? But as far as writing it, I am not very disciplined and consistent enough for having the boys do those written narrations. And I really do think they're probably still kind of young for that anyway. So I'm not pushing the writing narrations just yet for the 3rd and 5th grader. But with this, I really like it because it has a structure that I can follow, and it's keeping me accountable, basically, because I know my own weaknesses are keeping up with something and sticking with something. So I found something that's like, okay, do this, Ashley, read this story. Okay, now do this, Ashley, have them write the key words. Do this now, Ashley, So the book is telling me what to do, and it's being the boss instead of me being like, oh, what are we doing today? So that's what happens to my brain inside my head. And I felt really discouraged about it at first, thinking,
I'm a terrible Charlotte Mason style homeschool mom because I'm not doing it right.
I was really thinking that. And I finally, just this year, I've been thinking that for months now, maybe years. And I didn't know how to share that with the world. But we do lots of living books and we do oral narrations. But as far as written narrations, I struggle. I need some accountability. And now I'm finally okay with it. I am using something that keeps me accountable. We get it done. And I'm watching my boys grow and being strengthened in their writing muscles. And it's been so cool to watch. And I'm just thankful. Like they're finally writing stories, and they're not fighting on it too much. They're not fighting me on it too much, just a little bit, but we go step by step, and it's kind of slowed me down, I think, because I'm a writer myself and it comes easily to me. And, I've had a lot more years of experience than they have. I see what the end product is supposed to be, but I didn't really understand the breaking up into smaller increments and scaffolding it. I'm just really not good at that. And I think that's why I've struggled even as an English teacher to know how to do that. But using curriculum like imitation writing and even IEW has helped me know how to scaffold. And again, I was really embarrassed to say I needed scaffolding for it, because I feel like as a Charlotte Mason mom, you don't need that. You just do narrations. But in my mind, I needed a little more structure. So like my daughter, my 7th grader, she's using the medieval-based history writing lessons, and she has a class that she goes to, so I don't have to teach it, but they do the same thing. It's just reading the source text, writing a keyword outline, and then it breaks it up step by step. It scaffolds it for her. So she's been excelling really well with this as well. So I love both of these, and I think they're gonna stick around in our home for a while for our language arts, and I just need to be okay with that. So thank you so much for listening to my language arts rant, and I appreciate that you came to see that. So thank you so much. Let's get into it. I've got a couple more I wanna share. Don't leave just yet. We're coming back. Make sure you come back for part 2. That was part 1 of our term 1 update that had our math and our language arts and a few comments on that. In my part 2 video, I would like to share our history, our science, and our morning time and how that is going and the changes I'm gonna make for that. And I've made a few changes and tweaks for that for our own family for homeschool for this next term. So make sure you stick around for that, and please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Go find his joy among the noise.